Hello everyone and welcome to another Starbase video. Being able to design and build a spaceship of your own is one of the key features of Starbase. This video focuses on the Spaceship Designer, which enables you to design your spaceship from scratch, take the ship for a test ride and more, and all this can be done either alone or with friends. This video will explain how the Ship Designer works and how to build a ship that flies using it. So, we'll demonstrate the building process by building a basic ship and by explaining all the available tools while doing so. You can access the Spaceship Designer from terminals inside spaceship design workshops similar to this one. Here you can see what its interface looks like. Many things can be changed according to your preferences, such as the window layout. There are different windows that you can have open for different needs, and they can be resized and moved around freely. On the left you can see the window with the available assets. This is a list of all the building blocks that you might need to build your ship. On the right side of the screen you can find the toolbox along with the tool options window. I'll explain how each tool works while building the ship. There's also the Properties window that shows information about the asset you've selected and can be used to edit its device fields if it has some. The first tool is the Move tool. It allows you to move the object or a selected group of objects in whichever direction you wish. It also allows for easy duplicating of objects like so. The second tool is the Rotate tool, which is useful for precise rotating of objects. You can also simply press a key to rotate objects 90 degrees like so. However, you don't have to have the Rotate tool enabled if you wish to rotate something. You can rotate using hotkeys as well. Any changes you've made can also be undone and redone easily. So, let's start with building the ship's frame. This ship is going to be a very simple box-shaped ship, and its only purpose will be to fly. We'll begin by building one side of the ship's frame. As you can see, the beams are now nicely assembled, but in order to secure them together we need some attachment plates and bolts. You can do this manually, but in order to save time, the Auto Bolt tool comes in handy. We simply select the Auto Bolt tool and click on the frame, and it connects everything together by adding the attachment plates and bolts to it automatically. Now, in order for the frame to be recognized as a spaceship's frame, it needs to have at least one thruster connected to it. I left a specific sized hole in the middle of the frame so that a hardpoint fits into it nicely. As you can see here, you can also manually bolt things in place using the Bolt tool. Hardpoints are needed for most of the devices you wish to have on the outside of your ship frame. In this case, we need them for the thrusters. Then there's the Durability tool. Using it is helpful in identifying possible problems in the durability of the ship. Here we can see that there's one piece of the frame that isn't connected well enough and is shown highlighted in red. By clicking the piece in question, the tool will show extra information on what's wrong with it. Here it simply says that at least one more bolt is needed. So we'll just add one attachment plate to it and bolt it in place, and we're good to continue. Now we'll start building the front of the ship. For the front of the ship we'll need some windows. For the windows I'll save some time by using modules. The modules are ready-made ship parts that speed up the building process. By clicking the green circle on the module, you can select the whole module and move it or copy it easily. You can also create modules yourself out of whichever combinations of parts you want. Now we'll copy the side we built first onto the other side of the ship. Here we'll demonstrate how to make use of the Snapping tool, which is useful when you need to snap something in place with precision. So, in order to use it, we'll first select one of the orange snap points from the selected parts, and then choose any orange point from the part that we wish to snap them to. As for the roof of the ship, we're going to place some hardpoints there as well, as we'll need some maneuver thrusters on top of the ship. Here we're also making use of the ready-made modules. In this case, we're using a square module with a hardpoint already built into the frame, as well as some plating covering it all. Now we'll just finish the rest of the frame by copying the roof to also be the floor of the ship, and by finishing the back of the ship frame. Now that we're done with the frame, time to use the auto-bolt tool again to add all the bolts in place. Here we're once again making use of the durability tool in order to identify the places where we need to add a few bolts. Then the ship also needs a door in order for anyone to actually be able to get inside it, so we'll remove a few beams here to make some room for one. Once again, we'll be making use of the modules by selecting a door module and just modifying it a bit to fit our ship frame. Then it's time to add all the rest of the inner and outer plating to the ship. Wow, now our box ship is finally starting to look like an actual box. Now that we have all the inner plating in place as well, we can start adding the furniture and devices needed on the inside. First, we'll add a ready-made generator module and place it on the ceiling of the ship to save some floor space. The generator is very important as it provides power to all the thrusters and other devices in the ship. Without power, the ship won't fly anywhere. Next, we'll be adding a few propellant tanks. These are also important as propellant is required for the thrusters to work. Then a pilot chair is very useful for easier controlling of the ship. We're also attaching a control panel to the chair and adding some levers to it. Now we're going to add the flight control unit as well as the main flight computer. These will automatically assign the thrusters to the correct controls and help with the balancing of the ship. Now we're going to add a few more maneuver thrusters to all the sides of the ship so that the ship can turn in all directions. Then it's time for cabling using the cable tool. Cables are used to transfer power, and they also add the devices into the device network so they can interact with each other. Pipes are also needed to transfer propellant from the propellant tanks to the thrusters, so we'll add those as well. Then there's the socket tool. The socket tool places a socket on the plating that provides power to the other side of the plating. It's very useful, for example, in this case where we want to have a button for the door on the outside. This way there is no need for cables on the outside of the ship. Now we'll change the device fields of all the thrusters to their individual numbers so that the flight control unit recognizes them. It doesn't matter which one's which number, the FCU and the MFC will do all the rest of the work for you. Here we're also reassigning the device fields of the levers using the Properties window so that they'll actually control the ship's thrusters. Then at any point of time during the building process, you can easily enter a testing world to test out your new ship like so. This is very useful in making sure that it flies before committing to buying the ship. So let's try this ship out. Seems that it does indeed fly, but the balancing is a bit off, so the ship doesn't really fly straight. Time to make some changes to the interior. I moved the generator and the propellant tanks forward in the ship in order to balance it out a bit more and added a few more maneuver thrusters. And now let's cross our fingers and test it out again. Ta-da! Our box ship is not very pretty, but at least it's fully functional. Now all that's left is to add some decorations to make the ship a bit less boxy and a little more presentable. This ship only has the basics that are needed for the ship to fly, but you can also add all kinds of different things to make it fit your needs. Cargo holding devices, weapons, screens, YOLO chips for automation purposes, you name it. There's also plenty of other useful features in the editor, such as the option to invite friends to build the ship with you, as you can see happening here. You can also always open the blueprints of some of our pre-made ships and modify them, or just look at them for inspiration. We're very much looking forward to seeing all the different ships that the players will create once you get your hands on the Spaceship Designer. I'm sure that they'll at least look a lot more impressive than this one.